So after The Hate You Give came out, Angie Thomas had a huge challenge that a lot of authors face, which is their sophomore novel. What do you do after The Hate You Give blows up and blows everyone out of the water and is the number one New York Times bestseller for like 2 years? What could you possibly write after that? She answered with On the Come Up. Now, On the Come Up is currently being adapted to a movie. It's going to have a black producer, black director, black cast, obviously. And it's about a young girl named Bree. Now, Bree, now it could be pronounced Bri. It's spelled B-R-I. My name's Brian. It's spelled B-R-I. So it could be Bri or Bree. I'm not 100% sure. But she grew up in a neighborhood not far from where Star grew up in The Hate You Give. So there's some character overlap a little bit. But she goes to school. She lives in a trailer, lives with, poverty, family struggling to get by, trying to keep the water on, the heat on, the electric on, barely able to pay their bills. And she goes to school every day, and she's got a side hustle at school, which is that she sells candy out of her backpack. Now, technically, it's against the rules, but she tries to be pretty careful about it. But they've got this security guard at the school that is, basically this white dude who's on a trip about his power. And he wants to look in her backpack, and she doesn't want to let him look in her backpack, and ends up with her pinned to the ground with him on top of her, basically yelling at her to be quiet, stop resisting, an image that we've seen far too many times in our news. And she ends up, that ends up videotaped, and it ends up, spreading. And so now there's this race conflict at her school. And she does not want to be quiet about it anymore. She has a desire to become a rapper, but in the rap world, there's not a lot of female rappers that get a lot of attention. There's very few, especially compared to male rappers. She wants to be a rapper, and she's talented. And one day, in her frustration while she's in the studio, she lays down a rap that talks about this. And it's violent in its content. It's sort of threatening violence back to those who would do violence to her. And so there's this conflict going on about whether she should have spoken peacefully or whether what she said was inappropriate. And she's being told to be quiet, but she wants to have a voice. Now, Angie Thomas talked about how one of the things she wanted to dispel in this book, in The Hate You Give, she wanted to deal with the danger that young black boys are in constantly. In this book, what she really wants to do with is black women always being told to be quiet and that they're too loud. So that's definitely something she deals with. She deals with the sexism in the rap industry, and she deals with, again, the violence perpetrated against black bodies, and she deals with black women needing to be able to have their voice. On the Come Up is a phenomenal story. I cannot wait to see the movie, and I hope that you get this book and that you pick it up.